Hi, everyone. Welcome to Smart Email Sequences. Awesome people. You are early. I love you for that. Just say hi to Kelly. She says she's in Chilliwack, BC. Oh, I have heard so much about that place. I have never been and I would love to visit. Denise is from LA. I am jealous of your weather, Denise. So, hi, Sarah has just joined us as well. If you ladies are, we only have ladies right now. I know we have a few gentlemen who joined, but if everyone is ready, I'm just going to go ahead and jump straight into it. So, just some things to remember. We will have a Q&A portion later on. So if you have a question, I don't want you to lose track of it. So just type it in comments in the chat so that, you know, as the question pops into your head, you can get it out of your head. And then we will go back. I'm going to go through the chat during the Q&A session so that I can address each of your questions. So, ready? Let's get my cell phone out of the way and we shall get started. I'm going to share my slides now. There's just a couple of things I need to do. Can you see my slide? It should say Smart Email Sequences, very big letters. You seeing it okay? Is it too big?
Yeah, let's see.
Thank you. By the way, when I am sharing, I cannot see the chat. So if I ask you a question, please unmute and answer orally and not by chat. Okay. Yeah, so this is the Smart Email Sequences class. Welcome and thank you for enrolling in this class. So first, I want to ask, because you're here, I'm guessing that there's something that you're finding challenging about writing your email sequences. Can you just let me know what your biggest challenge is? Go ahead and unmute yourself, please, to respond.
Being consistent.
Consistency. Okay, what else?
I find it challenging to make it human. I've worked in the corporate world too long, so
Oh, gotcha. Yes. I know how you feel. I came from a large organization as well when you're writing, you're not writing as yourself, right?
No.
That's the problem. So then you go into business for yourself, and then all of a sudden you have to write as you, and there is a transition. So I hear you. Anyone else?
I would love to second that. I cut mine and mine is like bone dry. There's no personality in it and no flow. But I would say just, yeah, keeping it, just my flow and how one transitions into the next in that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, do you mean from one email to the next?
Exactly.
Cool.
I have a little bit different issue. I come from an elementary school teacher position.
Yeah.
So I have a tendency to babble and tell a lot of stories and not just keep on topic. So
Ooh. Yeah, that's actually a good thing. Anyone?
I have a hard time figuring out how to measure whether people are really reading
Yes.
the pieces of the email sequence.
Right.
I've tried to put links in them to articles or other things that are relevant to the topic, but again, I don't know how to measure the impact.
Engagement. Yeah. You're using an email service provider, correct?
I'm using ConvertKit.
Book it. Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, I think one of my biggest problems that I find is finding the right words
Mhm.
that will encourage my readers to take an action.
Right.
I can
Yes.
write an email, but getting the words that will truly get them to, click or buy or do whatever it is I'm trying to encourage them to do. I really have a hard time with that.
Yeah. I think everyone who writes an email faces that challenge at some point or another. And one last, anyone else willing to
Yeah, maybe make things different and make interactive content.
Oh, okay. Like how to stand out, how to differentiate yourself
Yeah.
or your email. Did I understand that correctly, Lena?
Yeah, how to be different.
Okay.
It's correct.
So thank you so much for sharing your challenges with me. It really helps me to know how I'm going to conduct the rest of the class, although I did prepare slides beforehand. So when we get to the Q&A session, if you feel that I haven't addressed any of these challenges, then please call me out on it, because I really do want to cover these challenges. All right, so
May I have one more?
Go ahead, yes.
I'm sorry. I just have a problem. I don't know if you want to get to this yet, but converting, like I do send out emails every other day,
Yeah,
and I get a 20% open rate.
Yeah.
But no conversions.
okay. Thank you so much. And yes, that is the challenge for any email marketer, right? So this class is my attempt to help other online marketers like me, like you, to address all these challenges and to make it better. So I'm not promising that I have a magic wand that's gonna solve all of these challenges. But hopefully by the end of this class, you will feel confident that all these challenges will at least be smaller for you or will be less challenging, and writing your emails and your email sequences will be easier moving forward. So in case you're new to my world, I just want to quickly introduce myself. I am Lexi Rodrigo, and for a long time, I was in the nonprofit world. I worked for 16 years in UNICEF. And then in 2008, I switched from being a communication person to being a web copywriter and online marketer in 2008. And the reason why I did that actually, I love my job in UNICEF, but really the reason that I switched, my big why, is my family. I was doing worthwhile work, advocating for the rights of children, but in my heart, my heart was breaking because I was leaving behind my own children at home in the care of other people. And so for a long time, I was thinking, there has to be a way that I can still make this positive impact in the world without sacrificing my family. And I remember at that time when I was raising my children, the buzzword for parents was quality time. Do you remember when people used to, like working women, working moms, we used to assuage our guilt by saying, well, I'm spending quality time with my children. But sometimes quantity is quality. So that is why I made that big shift. And so since then, or in my entire professional life, I have been supporting 7 and 8 figure businesses and organizations. And my most recent achievement that I'm very proud of is tripling the organic search traffic for a business in 3 months. And that's my current employer. So in my first 3 months working as the content manager, I was able to drive the organic traffic, so that's free traffic, to triple what it was before I joined. So I'm just so proud of that. I wanted to share it with you. And also helping drive 70 plus million US in sales, donations, and sponsorships. It's because I have been working so long and I haven't always been tracking. It's hard for me to come up with the exact figure, but I think like that's a conservative estimate. And my former colleagues in UNICEF and anywhere else, that all these things, it's a team effort, right? So I'm not claiming sole risk credit for that 70 plus million. Some of it is just mine, but a lot of it is team effort. But I feel very strongly that my support helped to bring about that much in sales, in donations, and sponsorships. And the other thing that you need to know about me is that it's disappearing. I truly believe that anyone can write their own copy. I think if you can hold a conversation or type an email, if you can communicate, basically, you can write copy. And oftentimes, from supporting solo business owners, one person business owners or small teams, I have found that oftentimes the business owner is the best copywriter for the business because they know the product in and out, and they know, more importantly, they know their audience in and out. So, and that's why I'm doing this. First of all, I've always, when I was a child, what I wanted to be when I grew up was a teacher. Actually, two things, a mom and a teacher. I'm already a mom. So this is how I get to be a teacher. I love to share what I'm learning in my work, in my day job. And that's why we're all here. So after this class, these are our goals for this class. I hope that you will be able to cite the 3 basic types of email sequences, explain the value of the divide and conquer technique, apply the SMART planning framework to your email sequences, identify the correct goal for each email sequence that you have, complete the planning matrix that I'm going to share with you later on. You're going to see that, and name at least 5 building blocks for email sequences. I'm going to share with you 15, but after the class, I don't expect that you would remember them all. So if you can remember 5, then it'll be a win. So why email sequences? And first of all, what are they anyway? Just to be sure that we're all on the same page. When I talk about email sequences, I mean that it is a series of emails. So it's not just one email. And then it is, there is a certain order to it. There's a sequence, right? So you want to send out a first email, a second email, a third, and there's a logic behind the sequence, right? And then usually this is automated. So something triggers it. There's a trigger, and then the emails are sent out based on that trigger. And usually the trigger is a certain behavior, right, from your audience. The trigger could be someone signing up for your newsletter. That's a trigger. It could be someone purchasing. That's a trigger. So as soon as they purchase, that triggers this series of emails to go out. They will start receiving this email sequence. So why are email sequences so important that I would devote a class to it? Probably a class is not even enough. Well, first of all, if you've been in online business for any amount of time, then you know that your emails, your email marketing is a significant source of income. Some people, they do affiliate marketing, they don't sell their own products, they'll create their own products, and they make money just sending emails. And when I was new in online business, I found this to be quite mysterious and like, oh, really? Like some even magical. Like people were saying, I send an email and I make money. But now, as email marketers, you know that this is true, right? And even if if you're in nonprofit, you can get more donations, more volunteers. You need a volunteer. You need volunteers for an event. Send a series of emails. Send an email. You can send an email, but the thing with a sequence is that it's more effective than just one email, which brings us to the second reason. But we'll go back to that. The other reason is that your email marketing platform is a recurring expense. You're paying for it every month or maybe every year. So you have to make sure that it has a positive ROI, and we want to optimize, maximize that ROI, right? You have the platform, you have the tools, so make the most of it. And then the third is what I was mentioning about being time consuming, meaning you spend so much time writing emails. So again, ROI on your time. As a business owner, sometimes we forget how much our time is worth. And I have a day job, so I have a very definite anchor for how much I'm getting paid per hour in my day job. And if you think about how much is your hourly rate as a business owner, think about that and think about how much time you're spending writing emails. Then again, you want to drive up your ROI. Every time you spend writing emails, you want it to drive results, right? To get results for you. And I'm not saying it's not just about making a sale or several sales with each email, because as you'll see later on, email sequences can have different goals, and it's not always selling. It's not always about selling. It shouldn't always be about selling. All right. So I just want to focus our thinking for the rest of the class by pointing out the three main types of email sequences that you probably already are sending out or should be sending out. There's so many types, but these are the three basic. So the first basic email sequence is the onboarding email sequence. So this is the email sequence that is triggered by somebody subscribing to your list. Usually it's because you're giving away something free, like a free PDF or a discount coupon or a free class, a free course, or newsletter, subscription, right? So as soon as they subscribe, then this onboarding email sequence is triggered. Now, a common mistake that people make is that they just send out one email after someone subscribes. And I did this too when I was new. So my suggestion is build that out. Instead of just sending out one email, make it a sequence of emails. Okay, and so this email sequence is before somebody purchases from you, right? So you're speaking to someone who hasn't paid you anything yet. They're just getting into your world. So think about that. So before buying or donating, that's this email sequence. And then the second basic type of email sequence is the sales email sequence, meaning you're trying to move the person from being just a subscriber to being a buyer or a donor. So here, this is strongly, you're making a pitch, right? You want them to buy. Now, a sales email sequence can be either time specific, like during a launch, or it can be evergreen. You have an evergreen sales funnel going. So then, it is, these emails they just keep going out every time somebody, again, a trigger, for example, from an ad, they get into your funnel, and then you have this sales email sequence that goes out automatically. So without you doing anything. And then the third kind of email sequence that again, a lot of business owners and marketers tend to forget is the customer care sequence. And we call it that because this is after somebody buys or donates. And I think, again, we tend to make the mistake of just sending out one email to let the person know that you successfully purchased or your donation went through successfully. Here's the confirmation, here's your access, here's your receipt. But if you just send out one email, you're really missing out because there's so many other things that you could accomplish with this person. And remember, they bought or donate, you have to be treating them like gold. And so having this sequence again, after someone gives you money is very important. Or in the case of nonprofits, after someone volunteers, because their time is money. And so let's talk about what does SMART mean? Like, why did I name this class SMART email sequences? It's actually an acronym. So S stands for strategic, meaning that every email in the sequence, there has to be a rhyme and reason why you're writing that email. And every email contributes to a goal. And so you have an overall goal for the entire sequence. And then each email might have its own goal, but every email is just really should be supporting that, right? This is email 1, email 2, email 3. It's not going all over the place. And then the second word here, or the second letter, M, stands for methodical. So I want to show you step by step my workflow for when I create email sequences. And of course, this is my workflow, and I don't claim to have all the answers. This works for me. It might work for you, but definitely adapt it to your own workflow. But the idea is that it's step by step. You don't have to be running all over your house, pulling your hair because you don't know where to start, right? And then next is actionable. I'm a very practical person. So this is going to be all about things that you can do, very practical. I'm also quite lazy, so I'm not going to ask you to do something that's going to take up all day to do, right? And even though I told you that I've supported large organizations, what you're going to learn is going to be doable even for the solo entrepreneur. And then results-based. So somebody said one challenge is really measuring, are they acting? Are they engaging with the email? Are you getting results? And that's a very good question, because we always want to be guided by results. And right now we have the technology really to see how our subscribers are responding to our emails. So definitely we need to be results-based. And finally, T is for transformative, because I am hoping that this class is going to change the way that you build email sequences, but more than that, change the way that you relate with your subscribers, with your audiences. And if you're successful, if you become even 25% more successful with your email sequences, I trust that you have good products and services, then I know that it's going to lead to a transformation with your subscribers and clients and donors and customers too, right? Because that's why we're doing what we're doing. We want to make some kind of positive change in people's lives, right? So most of the time, writing your email sequence, it's so hard because you're doing two things at the same time. And that is, you're trying to figure out what to write at the same time as you're trying to figure out how to write it. So you're juggling, your brain is doing those two things. And that's why It's so hard. And I have to admit, I sometimes still do this too, especially when I'm trying to rush. And then I realize I'm having a hard time. Like, why is this so hard to write? Oh, it's because I'm doing it. I haven't figured out what to write first before I write it. And that's why I prefer to approach every writing project or activity or task using the divide and conquer technique. Now, it sounds so fancy, but really all this means is you divide the writing task and then conquer each one. So, meaning first, think of what you're going to write. Okay, just stop, sit down, grab a pen and paper, or if you'd rather be completely digital, open up, a Google Doc or whatever it is that you use, and think about, okay, this is what I want to write, and then you take a break. It's better if you take a break in between the steps, and then when you're pretty happy about your plan for what you want to write, you go and figure out how you're going to write it, which means the actual writing, right? So when I talk about how you're going to, the what is the substance, the topic of what you're writing. The how, this is where you go into word choices. This is where you go into what stories are you going to tell, or what metaphors or examples would be best for what you want to write. So think about it. Do you think that would make writing email sequences easier, less overwhelming, and more doable? So I'm not gonna wait for your answer, because I think so. So let's get started. And this class is focusing on the thinking about what to write. Okay, what are you going to write in your email sequences? What are you going to include? So this is the planning stage. So I want to share with you my own planning workflow, which I call the S.M.A.R.T planning framework. Okay, how do we implement, or how do we do the S.M.A.R.T planning framework? You actually begin with the end. And what do I mean by the end? The end is your goal, right? So again, when I say goal, there's the goal for the sequence. So you're sending out, let's say, 5 emails. What do you want the 5 emails to accomplish as a whole, right? So you think about that first. If I'm doing a product launch, then my goal for the sequence is to drive sales. If I'm building, that's just an example. We're going to go more into the goals later on. So start with the goal. And this is something that actually we need to do in other areas of our lives. Always ask, what am I solving? What problem am I solving? What am I working towards? What am I doing this for? And usually people that have, visionaries, big visionaries, and usually business owners are visionaries, they could lose sight of this, right? They have all these new ideas that they want to do. And then you just need to stop and ask yourself, okay, I want to do this, but why am I doing it? What problem am I solving, or what am I trying to achieve? So this is the end, right? That's the goal. You start with that. And then you work your way backwards. In order to do that, what needs to happen? And then what needs to happen? And then what needs to happen? Until, okay, this is your audience. And they're usually coming from the state of indifference, right? They're indifferent to you and me. They only care about themselves. So how do we move them, right, from the state of indifference to the goal, whether that's buying or whatever that is, donating? Okay, so we like to work backwards. And one thing that can help, okay. So the problem is that sometimes we are aiming for the wrong goal. Okay. For example, your onboarding email sequence. Is the goal to confirm that they have successfully subscribed? I mean, yeah, sure, but that's not the bigger goal for your onboarding email sequence. Is it just to deliver their free PDF? Sure, again. Or is it to pitch a product or an idea or a cause? Maybe, and I've seen this, right? Where I subscribe and the business owner immediately, as soon as I subscribe, they're pitching me something. They're pitching me a product. They're giving me a discount code. I mean, that's fine, but think about what else does an onboarding email sequence do for you? And for me, a more important goal for your onboarding email sequence is to get your subscriber hooked on your emails. You want them to, first of all, recognize your name.
It's hooked.
And then you want them to have these warm, fuzzy feelings towards you, so that when they see your name in their inbox, they're not gonna ignore your email or delete your email. They're gonna want to open your email. And I think this is a more important goal than just pitching a product. I mean, yeah, I get it. This is gonna get you money, right? But this is kind of short-term thinking, I think. But if you aim to use your onboarding email sequence to get your subscribers hooked on your emails, that's more longer term. You're thinking more sustainably, because realistically, the majority of people who encounter you are not going to be ready to buy from you right away. And when they subscribe, their attention is on you, right? So use that moment while they're thinking about you or they've just thought of you to really build that relationship. So if you start thinking of your onboarding email sequence in this way, I think you're gonna have a different approach in terms of figuring out, well, what email am I gonna send? I mean, of course, you will still do this, right? You'll still confirm the subscription, you'll still deliver their PDF, but what else? What else? Okay, what else can you do? What else can you say in the succeeding emails in order to build this relationship and get them hooked on you? Now let's talk about the sales sequence. The sales sequence, again, yes, the ultimate goal is to sell the product, sure. But what do you have to do in order to achieve that sale, make that sale? Now, if you are creating the sales sequence as an affiliate, I think sometimes affiliates, we make the mistake of thinking that our goal is to sell the product. But actually, it is to pre-sell the product, right? What do I mean by pre-selling? It means you warm them up for the offer. You're going to see an offer, and if the seller has some gaps that you think, for example, the sales page, it has a few things there that you think your audience will be concerned about that the seller is not quite addressing, you can fill those gaps. So I like to think of the affiliate as, you know, if you play volleyball, I'm not sporty at all, but I know this much. There is a setter, right? I think this is her, right? She's setting up the shot. And then you have the, what do you call her? The hitter, Is it the header? So if you're an affiliate, this is you. You are the setter. Okay, so you set up the environment, set up the mindset of your audience so that then the vendor here can close the sale. So it is the vendor's job to sell. Now, what this means too for affiliates is that you may need an extra step. What do I mean by that? Usually, very commonly, so this is your email, right? As an affiliate, what we do is we send our audience to the sales page. And that's fine, that can work if the sales page is good, if it addresses your audience and addresses all their objections. But sometimes it may not work so well, or you can make it so that the conversion increases. And that's where the pre-selling comes in. So sometimes maybe you want to send them first to your own website, to your own, let's say your blog, where you might have a review of the product, right? Or you're demonstrating how the product works. And then from there, you send them to the sales page. And especially if you're promoting a vendor who's your audience don't know that person, is unknown. If you're promoting the product of one of the big online business names, then that's fine. If you're promoting Marie Forleo, there's probably no need for a warm-up. But like my affiliates, like how you got to this course, you probably didn't know me before my affiliates emailed you about me. And one of my most successful affiliate for this class told a lot of stories in her emails about how she knows me, about how she learned copywriting from me, right? And all those years ago. And so when people land on the sales page, my sales page, I'm not this, well, who's Lexi anyways, right? Because this affiliate has already planted it in their minds that I'm somebody that she learned from. Does that make sense? Go ahead and unmute, please.
I would love for you just to recap that. That was really powerful and packed.
Okay, so what I said is just that as affiliates, we often make the mistake of thinking that our goal is to sell the product that we're promoting. But actually, our goal is to pre-sell the product to our audience. The job of selling the product that's the job of the vendor. Now, as an affiliate, you know your audience best. So you know what kind of pre-framing you need to do in order to warm them up for the pitch. For example, if you're promoting the product of an unknown like me, then you know that before sending your audience to my sales page, you have to introduce me to them, right? And this might be in the form of a story of how we met, how we became friends, or how I became your teacher, your copywriting mentor, whatever that is. Or it might mean that before sending people to the sales page, you might want to send them to your own blog first, where you review the product, where you show yourself using the product, and you talk about your own experience with the product. So then when your audience arrives at the sales page of this vendor, they are in the proper frame of mind to be open to this vendor's message and to receive the pitch, the sales pitch. Is that better?
That was terrific. Thank you.
Lexi, can I just ask a question?
Can you type it in the chat, please?
Yep.
Because there's a lot I want to cover. And type it in the chat and make sure that I go and answer it later on in the Q&A. Right, so sales sequence is when you sell your own product, service, Okay, so now what about if you are selling your own product? Okay, this is, so you're no longer the affiliate, and yes, your goal is ultimately to sell, but your sales, your email sequence, again, might have a different goal. Okay, because you want to send, let's say you want to send people to a sales page, then selling is the goal of that sales page. Your email sequence, then it's like when you're your affiliate, right? Your email sequence is warming up again your audience to get to the sales pitch. So this might mean that your email sequence, the goal could be making sure that you match the message to the market. Guys, for selling, this is the most important thing. Make sure you're selling the right thing to the right person. Okay, so your email sequence could be one way that your subscribers can be self-selecting so that only the right people will get to the sales page. Okay, and this is again where the triggers come in, right? So maybe you're sending a series of emails, and then only the ones who have been very engaged will make it to the sales pitch. That's one way that you can structure your email sequence. And then another goal for any email sequence is to address the objections of your audience. Of course, your sales page is probably doing this, but you can anticipate what objections they would have that would keep them from clicking through the sales page in the first place, right? Okay, now let's go to the customer care sequence. So this is after someone buys from you or donates to you. And the goal here is to prevent remorse. Remorse it's just such a strong emotion, even though, I don't know, this has happened to me too, but even though I know I purchased something good, it just always happens where, oh my gosh, like, especially for the higher priced items, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should have bought something else, or maybe I should have waited for a sale or whatever it is. So this is what we want to do. I mean, of course, we want to deliver the product, of course, but beyond that, we want to prevent buyer's remorse. And then we might want to upsell, cross-sell, sure. Because of course we want to be driving up our ROI and the lifetime value of each customer and all that good stuff. But most of all, we want to make them happy, right? We want happy customers. That is the biggest goal for your customer care sequence. So another thing you might want to do with your customers, not straight away, but giving them time to use your product, is having them post a review or giving you a testimonial. And then of course, recommending you to others eventually. So you see, if you've just been sending one email to your buyers or donors, then you've been missing out. There's so many things that you could have been accomplishing other than delivering on your product. Okay, so begin with the end and then work backwards. And we just clarified that what this end is might not be so straightforward. We might have been aiming for the wrong goal, so we might not have known that we could have been aiming for a lot more than what we've been doing in the past. So now that we've got the goal piece more or less more clarified, then we can work backwards from the goal. And how do we do this? By asking this very long question, but it actually covers what's going to be your strategy. The answer is going to be your strategy. This is the question. Who needs to know what and believe what to feel how in order to do what? Okay. Now, this is your goal, right? Whether it's to open your emails, buy your stuff or buy the vendor's stuff. So that's the goal, and then you work backwards. In order to open your emails, how should they feel? Okay, so think about that and then work backwards. In order to feel that, what should they believe? And in order to believe that, what should they know? Okay, is it making sense now? And another a way that you can answer that question is by using a sheet like this. I'm all about the spreadsheets, guys. Okay, here's the question up here. Who needs to know what and believe what to feel how in order to do what? Okay, so that's your goal. Okay, this is the action that you want them to take. And the audience, that is the specific segment or list, okay, that you're sending your email sequence to. Now, I think a lot of the time we forget this part, the feeling part. And we tend to focus on the knowing, right? Oh, I'm going to announce I have a product launch. I have a new product. This is what it's about. And this is how much it costs. And that's why they should buy. But as humans, and we may not always admit this, but really we are so driven by our emotions that I think everything we do is really based on feelings. So from now on, I really want you to go from the goal to the feeling. Okay, so for Pat to open each of my emails, what should she be feeling? In fact, something that I learned from John Morrow, who is a very famous and successful blogger, is before you write, and this is with blog posts and it works with copy as well, before you write your blog, put yourself into that emotional state where you want your reader to be. And you might want to try that. For me, my personality is not like that. I'm not sentimental. I'm not touchy-feely. But so I don't do that. But I do think about what emotion I want my readers to have, my email reader to have, that will trigger, that will drive this action, right? And then from there, you can work backwards. As I said, in order to have that emotion, what do we need to tell them? And that's the rest of the message here, right? What should they know? What should they believe? And sometimes, what's the difference between knowing and believing? You might say knowing is facts, sure. But we're not always just sharing facts, right? It could be, I guess, knowing is, it's, what's the word? Verifiable, right? Okay, so they need to know that this product exists. They need to know that this is important, for example. Or actually, that's already a belief, right? And a belief is more to do with attitude. Okay, so it's not necessarily verifiable. The belief is internal, while the knowledge is something verifiable. You either know it or you don't. Okay, and sometimes, like, don't get bogged down, right? If you can't think of belief, forget about it. Skip it. But definitely think about the feeling. Very important. Okay, so what do you need to tell? What do you need to write in this email for your email subscriber to feel a certain way? Okay, so if you want to try it, okay, let's try with an onboarding email, okay? Because I think that's something that is pretty much anyone who's doing email marketing is doing. So the goal, as we said, is to get them hooked on our emails. And the audience is a new subscriber. All right, please unmute yourself if you want to chime in. So in order to get hooked to your email, what should your subscriber feel when they see an email from you in their inbox? How should they feel? Anyone want to jump in with an answer?
Curious.
Curious. Ah, yes. What else?
I think it depends on what you're writing about, but it could be excitement.
Excitement. Sure. Yep. Exciting.
Relief. They've found a possible solution to a problem they have.
Oh, I love that. That's a nice feeling.
Inspired.
Inspired, yes. Okay. So yeah, it really depends on, you're right. What is your product? What is your market? What field are you in, right? It could also be just, a feeling of liking you. They like you, and so they'll read your emails. Or admiration.
Motivate.
Motivated. Yeah. And I think that's linked to the feeling of excitement too, right? Oh, you're motivated. So in order to feel, let's take, for example, what do you want to do? Which one of these feelings you want to tackle? Do you want to do the first one? Curious. So in order to feel curious, what do you need to tell them? Curious about your emails. What do they need to believe? So maybe one thing is that they need to believe that, let me pick an example. Why can I not see your names? I know we have two Stephanies, so I'm going to use the name, that example. Stephanie, in order to feel curious, maybe they need to believe that Stephanie always has fresh ideas, right? So when I see, oh, I have an email from Stephanie, and I believe that Stephanie is this brilliant lady. She always has such fresh ideas that I never thought of before. I wonder, curious, I wonder what she has in store for me now. So I am going to open her email. Now, in order to believe this, what should I know? I should know maybe some of your fresh ideas, right? If I have heard even just one fresh idea that you really lit a bulb in my head, right? Then that's going to lead me to have this belief that Stephanie is someone who always has fresh ideas. So you see how that works?
That was a very helpful exercise.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for the feedback. Okay, so now you have that. You've worked your way backwards, right? So now you're thinking, okay, so how do I translate this into, let's say, 5 emails? 5 is like an average, although other people go much longer. And in fact, your onboarding sequence can be, you can just keep adding and adding and adding to it until the person makes a purchase or a donation, in which case you move them, then they get moved on to the customer care sequence, right? Okay, I want to share these 15 building blocks with you for email sequences. Now, what are building blocks? These are different types of emails or hooks or angles that you can use to populate your email sequence, to build your email sequence with. And of course, it's not an exhaustive list. There's so many. And as we go through the list, you'll probably think of several that I may have missed. So this is not exhaustive, but it's a lot, and you can get started with it no matter what kind of email sequence you're writing. So let's start with the attention. Usually, Please mute yourselves. How do I mute everyone? Okay. Can you please mute yourselves until I ask you to speak up? Okay. So let's start with what I call attention getters. Usually in the beginning, the first few emails, you want to just get your reader's attention first. So these are some of the emails, hooks or angles that you can use to do that. First is what's called shot across the bow. And I think if you're familiar with the product launch formula, I think that's where this is from. And this is really like email 0 in your sequence, because you're not actually diving into what you want to tell them about, but you're just telling them, hey, something's coming. Like this email could be just, hey, I have an announcement I'm making next week. Okay, so pay attention. So the goal of this single email is just to get your email subscribers to pay attention when that email comes. Okay, because we know that, you know, we all get so many emails and it's so easy to just ignore them, right? So that's all this is. Something's coming. I'm making an announcement. I'm launching a new product, and you're gonna get the details in this email that's coming. Watch your inbox. Okay, so this tends to increase the open rate of that email, the next email in your sequence. So the next building block is the teaser or curiosity nugget. So the shot across the bow is a teaser for the rest of your sequence. And this one is a teaser for whatever you want them to click to, right? So if you want them to click to a sales page, then this is the teaser for that. And how it works is you open a loop. That's how curiosity works, right? Or some kind of a cliffhanger, so that they just have to click on that link. You know how in TV series, they usually end one episode with a cliffhanger, and so you just need to watch the next one, and before you know it, you've binge watched for an entire evening. So this is similar to that, right? So make it a teaser, make it something that will arouse their curiosity so that they will click on the link. So this increases the click-through rate of an email. So the previous one was for increasing the open rate of your next email, and this is for increasing the click-through rate. And usually the teaser or curiosity nugget is usually very short. You just want to get people very quickly to that next page or wherever you're leading them to. And this is really great for, especially for onboarding emails, because it trains, now I really don't like this word, but I don't know what else to use, but it gets your subscribers into the habit of clicking on your emails, on the links in your emails, right? So for example, it's an onboarding sequence for someone who signed up for your free PDF, then you could have like a curiosity nugget in an email that's about the PDF, and you want them to click and actually read the PDF, because that's usually what happens is people opt in, but then they don't actually consume your free content, right? But if you put this teaser in the email and arouse their curiosity, they'll be curious enough to actually click and open and consume the free material. The other nugget is breaking news, right? So this involves, you have to curate what is newsworthy in your market. So you always have to be on top of the latest things that are happening in your field. And then, but don't just call attention to what's happening. You have to add your own insights to comment on it. So this is very good for increasing your authority in your area, right, in your field. And then you have to then somehow relate this newsworthy topic to your pitch. And this is really good for launches that are time, because it is time sensitive. So it's more appropriate for a launch that is time bound rather than an evergreen product sales, formula or funnel, because at some point it might become stale. So then, well, if you do decide to use like a breaking news angle or hook for your evergreen sales funnel, just remember to go back and review, and possibly you might have to replace that email in the sequence because it might not be hot or breaking news anymore. Now let's go to the interest inducer. So you got their attention. How do you sustain that attention? And that is my definition of interest, by the way, is sustained attention. Okay, so these are possible email hooks that you can use to sustain their attention. It's through talking about common mistakes, myths, or frequently asked questions. So when you're doing this, and you could make sure that you choose the mistake, the myth, or the question that they can relate with. Okay, so you have to really know your audience and do your research. Okay, and it should not be common knowledge, right? If it's it's a mistake or myth, it's nothing new, they've heard it before, it's not really going to be interesting. And choose the ones that they relate with, and so when they read your email, they recognize themselves and they think, oh my gosh, she's talking about me, that's exactly what I've been doing, I've been making this mistake, or yeah, I've been wondering about that. How did Denise know? Okay, so the other one, and what you could do with the common mistakes, myths, or FAQs is you could do one email for each mistake or myth or question. And what you can do also is that in the subject line, you can say one of whatever, if you're covering 5 mistakes or 5 questions, like you can put that and you might recognize, I do this, right? 1 of 5. And then the next email is going to be 2 of 5. Okay, so this is also making them curious because they know there's 1 of 5. They read email number 1 and then they know there's 4 more. So then when they see 2 of 5, they're more likely to read it. It's like, oh, okay, what is it now? And then they know that they're waiting for the rest of it, right? Another thing you could do, which is very similar, is top tips. Like your top tips for doing something. Like the way that I could have done a sequence for this class, for example, is top tips for writing your email sequences. And then the same thing with the numbering in the headline. So again, aim for little known tips. This shouldn't be something that they know already, right? Because if they know it already, they're not going to read. And then again, that you can do the 1 tip per email, and then numbering the subject line of your email. And then the thing that you want them to think when they read this email or these emails, the series of emails, is, oh, I didn't know that. So what else don't I know? And that's why they're going to, and that leads to the feeling of curiosity, remember? Or feeling of missing out. This is a very strong emotion that can drive a lot of sales. Or the belief that, oh my goodness, Anazi is so smart. Like, what else can I learn from her? So then they're going to keep reading your emails, right? And another one is the them versus us. And this is a negative approach, and I don't use it frequently, but I have. And what I mean by this is when you call out a competitor or a common enemy. For example, if your email is saying, gurus, they say this, but they don't actually tell you everything. And I've done this where I said that, how some business owners brag about their 6-figure launch, but then what they really are not telling you is that they actually also spent 6 figures, and their margin, their profit margin is actually very small, or they might have even lost money. So that's an example of the them versus us. So this makes your reader feel that you're on their side, you're on the same team. So there's this feeling of affinity with you, right? I'm going fast because wow, I can't believe we started an hour ago. And the next building block is the mind-blowing insight. What do I mean by this? So insight, the spark of brilliance, okay? An example is when you point out the real problem. For example, when I said that, okay, each email sequence has to have a goal, but the problem is you're aiming for the wrong goal. The problem is, as an affiliate, you're trying to sell instead of pre-sell, okay? So that's an example of a mind-blowing insight. I hope it was mind-blowing for at least some of you. Or another example is you've tried this, but it doesn't work because why? You've tried following these product launch blueprints, or you've tried setting up your own sales funnels, but it doesn't work because the person teaching it is, they have a team. They have a dedicated IT team. They have a copywriter that they've hired, or several copywriters, whereas you're a solo business, you're doing everything on your own. So it's no wonder that you tried it and it didn't work. Okay. So it should bring about an aha moment. That is the single goal for this email. Okay. Now they're really interested, and the next set of building blocks are for increasing their desire. Okay, the desire for your stuff, your product, your cause, your event, whatever it is that you're promoting. So one building block is the instant gratification. Again, human nature, we want things, and we want things immediately. We don't want to wait. So tell them what they're going to get very quickly, right? So people are wondering, okay, you're teaching me this email stuff. Well, how quickly can I become a better email marketer, right? So tell them that as soon as you sign up, you're going to learn this, and you can implement it immediately. You can execute it in 30 minutes, right? And make sure that you always back up your claims with proof. So hopefully you do have testimonials or feedback from other clients that you can use. Okay, testimonials, it can be a demo, right? You can walk somebody through the product if your product is digital, so that they can see, oh, it's so easy. It's so this PDF is, or say, what is the format for PLR? This Microsoft Doc Word, it's so easy to customize that in 30 minutes, you have your own branded report that you can use to build your list, right? And then speaking of testimonials, another building block is success story. And of course, a testimonial is the most common kind of success story that you can have. And again, when you're picking testimonials, make sure that their clients or customers are very similar to your readers, right? If your readers are stay-at-home moms, then pick a testimonial from stay-at-home moms. Don't use a testimonial from a 20-year-old guy who has no family, is not supporting anyone, has no dependents, has no responsibilities for children or whatever, right? Or maybe your readers are life coaches, then pick a testimonial from someone who's also a life coach. Or maybe your reader is someone who has a day job and a side business, and then therefore they have very limited time, right, to do stuff. So then, well, you get the idea. And the same thing for nonprofits, choose beneficiaries. So for nonprofits, the success story is the success story of the beneficiary, the people you're helping. So pick beneficiaries that they care about. So I know it's kind of heartbreaking, but you do have to pick beneficiaries that are likable, that they will care about, that they will have sympathy for. And it can be your own success story for affiliates, because your audience knows you, they already like you, they love you. So when you talk about how it was for you, what was your experience going through this course, using this product, then that becomes very effective because they're already relating with you. The relationship is already there. Another building block is features and benefits. So what is it? What is the product? What are the different parts and components of it? And what's in it? What is it made of? And then very important, so what? Why should your reader care? WIIFM stands for what's in it for me. Okay. Again, just human nature. We are all selfish creatures and we're just looking out for ourselves. So spell it out for your readers. And as much as possible, show, don't tell. Granted, this is much easier with physical products, but challenge your creativity, because even with digital products, you can come up with ways to show instead of telling. It might be a screen capture of you going through your digital product. It can be that simple, right? And then another building block is bonuses or gifts. Just today, I got an email from someone who's promoting Marie Forleo's new course, and she said, I added this bonus. Okay. So it's called stacking the value, right? It's like in the home TV shopping channel TV, where they said, oh, you get this, but wait, you also get this, but wait, you pay for one, you actually get two. So then it becomes really a no-brainer for the person to buy your product or to make a donation. Or for gifts, it's like you make a donation, you will receive this, like a free set of UNICEF calendars, or I once got a free rosary. I'm Catholic, a free rosary from a Catholic organization even before I donated. And guess what? I donated because it triggered in me that feeling of wanting to reciprocate. Okay. So if you're an affiliate and you offer your own bonus, it gives your readers a reason to buy from you. And if you're a nonprofit, as I mentioned, you can give a gift in exchange for a donation, either preloading it, giving it before they gave the gift. So make sure it's not too expensive for you, of course, or giving the gift after the donation. Now let's go to the action drivers. So these are the really powerful building blocks that can tip the person over, from being on the fence about taking action to finally just taking action, right? So the first one is urgency, and urgency means that there's a limited time. Okay, so point out the consequences of not acting now. Limited time might be this coupon is only good until midnight on this day, right? You can get this 50% discount only if you buy by a certain date. And again, for you guys, the price was $37 only until midnight last night. So today it is $47. And again, this causes the feeling of fear of missing out. You don't want to miss out on saving $10. You don't want to miss out on the discount, or you don't want to miss out on, or it can be also that the product itself is only available for a limited time. So you don't want to miss out because enrollment is closing. And then related to urgency, but different, is scarcity, because scarcity means it's limited quantity, right? And so of course, with physical products, it's very easy. I'm selling my knitted beanies and I only have 10 and I can only knit so fast. So, if you want one, you better buy it now while it's available. For digital products, we can't say limited quantity because it's digital, right? Like the seats to this class is infinite pretty much. But if your services can be limited quantity, right? I can only take 3 clients right now. So hire me already. Or even for a course, you could say that based on experience, it's really only effective if I have a maximum of 20 people in the class. So I'm putting a cap on enrollment. That just be creative again. And this brings about, this sense of exclusivity. It's exclusive. Not everyone can get in, and so they will feel FOMO again. Fear of missing out or fear of being left out. Slightly different. And then the next building block is a payment plan, especially if you're selling something that's a little bit on the high end side or premium price. You can say something like, by popular demand, I decided to offer a payment plan. So now you can pay in 3 installments. Or maybe you've always had a payment plan, but maybe they were not aware of it. It's possible, right? So you can send an email saying, hey, just making sure you're aware that there is a payment plan for this product. And this specifically is for addressing price objections. And really takes away every reason to say no. And another way that you can frame this is that you can get started today for just whatever the first installment is. You can get started for today for just $97 for, let's say, $1,000 product, because there's 10 months to pay. And the last building block is the final notice. And this is what you send if you have other previous emails relating to urgency or scarcity. Make sure to remind people that the deadline is coming up, or the limit is, you're about to reach your limit, right? So at midnight, hey, it's only hours away. There's only X spots left. I've already sold most of them. There's only 1 spot left. You want it, click here, right? And I'm telling you from experience, this final notice email can be 1 email, or actually I prefer 2 emails on the same day because of time zone stuff. This can drive 30% of your total sales. Can you imagine if you didn't send that email? All right, so the way I think of it is these building blocks are helping you to get attention, generate interest, arouse desire, and get people to take action. And by the way, that is my favorite acronym, the AIDA. Okay, that is how you get people to buy. That's a sales concept in sales. And you have different building blocks under each. But of course, these things can overlap, right? What gets their attention can also build interest and so on. So it's not like, these are not cut and dried, they can overlap. So don't worry too much about those. And so when you're building out your email sequence, look at these things, right? Given the feeling that I want, the way that I want them to feel, given the belief that I want them to have, which of these building blocks should I use? Okay, so go back to your matrix and see which of those building blocks will help you deliver the right message to the right audience. And then you map it out. Build out your email sequence. Before you write the first email, make a plan. You might want to use Post-it notes. The thing about Post-it notes is that you can move them around, right? So you can have 1 Post-it for each email, and then you might want to look at the flow. How does it flow? And then move it around. And then if you're into mind maps, you might also want to make a mind map, right? And then later on, just number it. You can say, oh, actually in this mind map, you see how I put stars or like those highlights? So those are the ones that, like, I might want to say, I'll do that first, and then this is email 3. And this picture right here is me planning a very complicated email campaign where we have some people on a 6-day sequence, some people on a 7-day sequence. And so these are email numbers, email 1A, number 2, and when they're going to get it. So that's Yours doesn't have to be that complicated. And then once you have it all mapped out, then you're ready to write. Okay. Now, I created an email sequence template that you may want to try. I use this in my work, in my day job every single day. So I have the email number, okay, email 1. When is it going to be sent? Who is the audience, right? So be very mindful of your segment. So, and the send, by the way, might not be a specific date or time. It might be 0 minutes after subscribing, right? Or 1 day after they purchase, whatever it is. And then the goal is the goal for the specific email, and it should contribute to your bigger goal for your email sequence. Then the hook or angle is your building block. The call to action is what you want them to do. And I might even include the actual link there, especially if I'm using UTM parameters and so on. And then the subject line for this email, the preview text, and then the body of the email is there. Right, by the way, the link to that template is in the course site. I've added it there, so you can always find it. I can also paste that in the chat later on. Now, your email copy, of course, this whole planning exercise is only as good as your understanding of the audience. So I was going to go over how you might do audience research, but we are quite short on time. So let me just say that one thing that I would recommend is for you to use an empathy map before you even plan your email sequence, and do a check of how well you understand your audience. Again, this PDF is already in the course site under handouts. So you can go there to download it, or you can I just like to draw it myself and just fill in this map, this canvas, and it just helps you to focus your thinking and your understanding of who you're writing for. And then some of your answers you can use in your actual copy. Okay. And now you know enough to be able to plan a smart email sequence. And just some things to keep in mind is that this is powerful stuff, right? You have the power to set the agenda for your subscribers. The fact that you're writing about something, you're shifting their attention to whatever topic that is, and you're in effect, you're telling them that it's important. But more than that is I just showed you how you can pretty much manipulate people to feel a certain way, to think a certain way, and that's power. And you know what a wise man once said, right? With great power comes great responsibility. So I hope that you will use that power responsibly. It's terrible that we have to sometimes make people feel that they might miss out. But if your product is serving them, then you do it. So just in general, be honest, be of service, and just be a human, a decent human being. Okay, and the second thing to remember also is that it's a sequence of emails, but don't count on people reading every single email in the sequence. And this has 2 implications. First of all, that each email should be able to stand alone. And don't be afraid to be repetitive, especially of your key messages. In fact, repeat your key messages, because John Wooden, I believe, is a basketball coach. He said the 8 laws of learning are explanation, demonstration, imitation, and repetition, 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 repetition. So I hope that now you can cite the 3 basic types of email sequences. Let's just make sure that we covered what we wanted to cover. You know the divide and conquer technique and why it's important. You can apply the SMART planning framework and can identify the correct goal for an email sequence. You know how to fill out the planning matrix. That's just the spreadsheet. And you can name at least 5 building blocks. for an email sequence. And now we can go to the Q&A. Hooray. I'll stop sharing and I will go through the chat. Close that. To hook them. Sarah says, I love the purpose of the onboarding sequence to hook them before selling to them. Okay, this question is from Allison. With affiliate selling, what would you do if the product is a pre-sale on something? Would you rely on the affiliate providing all the information and use that as a warm-up in your emails? Allison, would you like to unmute because I'm not quite clear on your question?
Hi, Lexi. Hi. Yeah, no, I'm not into affiliate marketing. So in the example that, well, the great example that you gave with regards to the warm-up, so in the sequence where the affiliate was kind of like sharing little stories about how they'd worked with you in the past and the benefits that they had and so forth. And I was just wondering that in some cases, I see quite a lot of people pre-selling things, and certainly I'm a course developer. So a lot of the time we're encouraged to try and pre-sell something. So the product isn't actually finished. So in that case, the affiliate wouldn't know what the course was fully about. So I guess they would rely on the person producing it to provide as much information as possible.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, I think I've answered my own question there.
Yeah, that's correct. And exactly, this class is a perfect example of that because I hadn't done the class yet, right? When you signed up, you're signing up for a future event. So my affiliates had to rely on my description to them of exactly what this class is all about. And to be honest, as I was creating the slides, I was still also deciding on what the final content would be. Okay, during a launch from Pat, everyone gives a bonus. In essence, you're competing with bonuses. How can you make yourself stand out in your email? Pat, I'm assuming that you're asking as an affiliate, but please correct me if I'm wrong. So if you're an affiliate and you're offering bonuses, and so many others are offering bonuses, how then do you make your bonus stand out? So you have to rely on your understanding of your audience. Based on what you know about your audience, what do they need? What do they want in order for the product that you're pitching, the affiliate product you're promoting, in order for them to get the best results? Right? So for example, for this class, which is about email sequences, one of my affiliates, Cindy Bidar, her bonus is her training on sales funnels. And it's a perfect fit, right? Because when you create sales funnels, a very important part of your sales funnels is your email sequence. So you see how that goes? So if you compare that with an affiliate that is offering, I don't know, whatever, that's not that related, then it wouldn't stand out. Okay. And sometimes it might be the bonus that will cause people to purchase from you, or it might be loyalty to you, right? Like, well, I like Pat, I'm going to support her, I'm going to buy from her. Bonnie, I did my first email sequence to start building a mailing list recently with the help of a business coach. You have added so much to my understanding of how email sequences work and why you want to build different kinds of them. Thank you. Oh, Bonnie, okay, so it wasn't a question. Thank you so much, Bonnie. I am humbled by that feedback. I'm so grateful that you found it valuable. Any other questions? Did I miss any question in chat? Please unmute and let me know if I did. If not, we are at the end of our time here, but I would really like to ask everyone a favor. I am typing a link in the chat. Now, after we say goodbye, oh, click on the link now before I close Zoom. Please click on that link and answer the form. It is a feedback form. I would really like to know what you think of this class, if you got value out of it, and how I can make it better. So please do that, if at all possible, as soon as we end this call, so that I can get that feedback straight away. So Sherry is saying, thank you. Love how strategic this was. Thank you, Sherry. Lena, Lexi, many thanks for the class. Excellent. It's very useful for me. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for a great class. Thank you so much. Thank you. Your time is so valuable, and your time and attention are so valuable. And I am so humbled that you chose to spend this last hour and a half with me. I hope that I have made it worth your while. And anytime you're going through the lessons, you have a question, a comment, whatever, for me, there's a comments box beneath each lesson. You can post a comment there. I will get notified by email. Also, in the lower right corner of the web page is a chat box. It'll tell you if I'm online or not, but either way, you can post your message to me there. And again, I will get notified. In fact, when the chat box is not saying Z or Z, that means I'm online. I'm actually in my Podia account, and you can probably get a quick response from me. So that's all that I have for you. I know we skipped a chunk of the training. I will record that separately, and I will let you know when it's up. So make sure you subscribe to the emails for this course. Enjoy the rest of your day. Everyone, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Bye.